Hey everyone, I hope you're well. This is the story about what if Naruto went to Sand Village and was raised by Tsunade. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. I have created a playlist of this what if and other what ifs, make sure to check them as well. So without any further ado, let's start the what if. The prophecy retold. Jiraiya was wondering why Gamamaru, the great elder toad, all of a sudden wants to speak with him in Mount Mayaboku. He was just traveling around the land of water to keep track of his spy network and was returning back to Leaf Village. During his travels he was about to finish his very first book, Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. Granted, he was thankful for his student to provide him inspiration to complete the book. He thought perhaps he should take some time off from writing and traveling and enjoy some sceneries in Nadeshiko Village, which just happens to be located near the land of water. Because of that, he and Gamaken were now in the middle of jumping away from Nadeshiko Village when Gamaken informed him that Gamamaru wishes to speak with him. "You are so ungraceful, Jiraiya, to be found in a place full of women. I thought you left behind your perverseness and have become a serious author to inspire the world to achieve peace," Gamaken said in his ungraceful tone he always uses while taking another large jump. "Hey, it's not my fault. No one told me that Nadeshiko is full of kunoichi. And FYI, I was just taking some time off from writing the book to enjoy sceneries in the nearby village, which just happens to be that damn Nadeshiko village," Jiraiya ranted while making sure to hang on to the toad by applying chakra to his feet. "No one wants to face the fury of angry kunoichi. By enjoying sceneries, you mean enjoying sceneries in female hot springs, with a monocular and a notepad?" the giant toad countered. Jiraiya got a sweat drop on his head and replied hurriedly, "Whatever, Mr. Gamaken, just take me away from here as far as possible. As you see, I'm still ungraceful as ever. But hang on." After which Gamaken took another mighty leap. After some time the pair both got off from Nadeshiko village borders and traveled some more distance and entered Fire Country. They stopped at a pond to take some must-needed rest because they are possibly out of danger now. "Alright Jiraiya, we are reaching the time limit for summoning. Now I have to go back, but to honor Gamamaru-sama's wish, you must visit Mount Mayaboku soon," Gamaken said while breathing a little heavily due to the leaps and jumps he took just recently. "Yeah, I will, Mr. Gamaken. Tell Shima-sama to reverse summon me when you reach there," Jiraiya said while going to the nearby pond to wash his face. "Alright, Jiraiya. But don't go around peeping on women and getting into troubles. I can't save you all the time because as you see I am ungraceful as ever," said the giant toad and then disappeared in huge puff of smoke, leaving behind a very irritated Sannin for that peeping remark. "For the last time, it's not peeping. It's called research," shouted the irritated Sannin to the fading smoke. A few seconds later he sighed and turned back to the pond to wash his face. He leaned near to the pond on his right knee and started to wash his face in the fresh pond water. But then he noticed a presence on his right side. He was a little surprised by this sudden appearance of the mysterious person. There was a woman standing tall on his right side, 7 feet away from him. The woman had green eyes, which can captivate anyone who sees them. Her light brown chin-length hair and her curvaceous build made her look even more attractive. She wore a dark red form-fitting outfit with only a long sleeve on her left side and has an orange sash around her waist. She stood in a stance that reflects her experience of being a tough kunoichi. "Ha! I didn't expect you to chase me this far," he said as Astate made still washing his face as if she was not a threat to him. "The technique you displayed last night was simply incredible," she praised his skills. "But you simply didn't come here to tell me that, did you?" the Sannin questioned in a matter-of-fact tone, while standing up and facing her. "I've seen your skill and I want to make a request," she replied. "Like what?" the Sannin asked, getting to the point of this discussion. The next day, in Mount Mayaboku, Jiraiya was walking alongside Fukasaku towards the throne area where Gamamaru rests. Fukasaku could not tell whether the Sannin is happy or is seriously thinking about something. Because Fukasaku noticed Jiraiya's face has a frown on it, but from time to time there was a smile on his face, like he was remembering some fond memories he shared with a person he loved. Soon the pair came before an elderly-looking toad resting on the throne. Jiraiya showed his respect to the great elder toad by bowing his head. "You wish to speak to me, Gamamaru-sama?" the Sannin asked respectfully. "Ah, Jiraiya boy, you're here," replied the elder toad in a sagely tone. "Yes, Gamamaru-sama," the Sannin confirmed. "Jiraiya boy, I already told you about the prophecy when you first came before me, about the future student of yours that will become a ninja, who will bring a great change to the world of shinobi. I got another glimpse of your future in a dream recently," said the elder toad. "Please tell me what you have seen, Gamamaru-sama," Jiraiya asked and started listening carefully. "The child of prophecy will bring upon something that was long since forgotten. Whatever he will bring upon will either cause the destruction of shinobi world or the salvation of it," answered Gamamaru. "I think I've already found the child of prophecy," thought Jiraiya, remembering his one-time student who happens to carry a dijutsu that has been long since forgotten. "Anything else have you seen, Gamamaru-sama?" the Sannin asked. When no reply came, the Sannin looked closely and he could hear that Gamamaru has fallen asleep on the throne snoring peacefully. Seeing this, both Jiraiya and Fukasaku fell face first into the ground in a comical way. Jiraiya was the first to recover and stood up. "I guess if that's all, I should be going, Fukasaku-sama," he said to Fukasaku. "Alright, Jiraiya boy. You may return," replied Fukasaku with a sweat drop on the back of his head at seeing the great elder toad's antics. With that, Jiraiya got ready to return to Leaf Village. So the prophecy has been retold? Was Jiraiya's thought when he was going to Shima so she can send him back to Leaf Village. A name that brings hope. In a dense forest, there was a lot of smoke forming at a huge tree. Slowly the smoke started to dissipate, allowing the two persons within the smoke to be seen. One person was wearing a dark cloak and has a cap on his head. He had a band-aid on the bridge of his nose. He was standing tall and looking down at the second person, pointing a kunai with his right hand in the second person's direction in an arrogant way. The second person was dressed up in a regular jonin outfit of the Leaf Village, and he was breathing heavily due to some exhaustion. The most striking feature of the second person was that his hair was in blonde color. His Leaf Village headband was tied around his forehead, where it kept some unruly blonde hair locks of his from getting on his face. "Just give up," the first person demanded. "Can I say one thing?" The second blonde person was attacked before he could finish. "I don't care what you say," shouted the first person, while hardly slamming the blonde onto the trunk of the tree with his left shoulder. He then kept the blonde firmly locked onto the tree trunk painfully. "Just die already," the first person said again in irritation. "Give up," blonde started to say in heavy breaths. The man got shocked that the blonde could still talk. Then the person in his grip dispelled into smoke, revealing that he was fighting a shadow clone all this time. All of a sudden the original blonde appeared behind him with his left hand ready to deliver the finishing blow. "On me giving up," the blonde finished his sentence and then delivered a hard chop to the back of his attacker's neck. The chop was so strong that the attacker was hardly slammed onto the tree trunk in a painful way and then landed face first onto the large tree branch. The person knew he was defeated. "Even if you take me down, another assassin will attack the village," he informed the blonde. He then started to grin and lifted his head to look at the blonde that defeated him and said in between heavy breaths and panting, "As long as we are cursed to live in this ninja world, there can be, panting, no peace, panting, ever. Panting. Well, I'm going to break that curse one day. If there is truly such a thing as peace, then somehow I'm going to find it. And I will never stop looking," the blonde replied. Who are you?" the defeated person asked, looking genuinely surprised. The blonde then lifted his hand to introduce himself. "My name is..." Minato was interrupted from reading the book Tales of a Gutsy Ninja by Jiraiya, slapping him on his back. "Hey! So you are reading my Tales of a Gutsy Ninja book, are you?" Jiraiya seemed happy that someone is interested in reading his very first book. "Well, it's only my first published work," so the sentences can be a bit childish and I didn't do a great job. The Sannin said while taking a seat in front of Minato. He seemed embarrassed at his work. Oh. No, I don't believe that at all. I think that this tale is wonderful. Minato said, seemingly very impressed by the book. Every chapter reads like one of the numerous legendary exploits you told me about. It's almost autobiographical. Minato said, referring to the tales mentioned in the book. Yeah. But it didn't sell at all. Jiraiya said awkwardly, and then he started to scratch his cheek like he just got an idea and said, for my next one I think I'll add some spicy elements to pack it up. The main character in here, I thought that his determination to never give up was pretty awesome. He's actually quite a lot like you, sensei. Minato said, still looking at the book. Yeah. You think so? Jiraiya inquired, getting hopeful. So, I was thinking. I really hope my soon-to-be child to become an amazing shinobi, which is like the main character in your book. Minato expressed his feelings. So that's why I'd like to ask your permission to name my son after him, said Minato, putting the book down on the table. You, what? Are you sure about this? I mean, I only came up with it while eating ramen, exclaimed Jiraiya, finding it shocking that his student is going to name his son after his book's main character. Naruto. A very pregnant-looking Kushina has joined the conversation, looking pleased at the name for her soon-to-be child. Kushina. Jiraiya questioned her to make sure they are taking the right decision or not. Kushina nodded her head to Jiraiya, conveying her wish to name her son as Naruto while rubbing her stomach in a loving way that only a mother could do. Wow. So would that make me his godfather then? Jiraiya asked hopefully. We want you to be his godfather, Jiraiya-sensei, both Kushina and Minato replied as one. And the day went on with the three discussing about how happy the future will be, and how their soon-to-be child will become an awesome shinobi. Unknown to them, there was a storm awaiting in the darkness to swallow all of their lives into darkness. Some unknown location. There was person sitting in the darkness wearing a dark cloak and a hood covering his identity. His facial features could not be seen from under his hood. All I need is just one opportunity. The unknown person muttered to himself and then lifted his head up and started laughing like a maniac. In the process, his hood dropped from his face while he was still laughing. There was a short glimpse of the white mask he was wearing on his face, having only one eye hole and has some dark stripes on it resembling a flame pattern. Peeking through the single eye hole ominously was a sinister-looking Mangekyo Sharingan. Shifts in the sand. While the Namikaze family is eagerly waiting for their Naruto to come into this world, there was some major unrest going on far away in the Sand Village. It was another hot day in Sand Village. Everyone in the village seems to be working. Civilians going for their daily works, merchants and vendors opening their shops. But for one 3-year-old Temari, that was not the case. She and her 2-year-old brother just found out that they are going to have another sibling soon. The kids and their parents were so happy they even planned to make a family dinner plan. Those damn council members just have to ruin it, don't they? Temari said to herself, standing in the hallway of the house, hands folded and face set in frown like a stubborn child. She was so young, she could not even pronounce some words properly. The eldest daughter of Raza got irritated that her dad has to attend an important meeting when they were just about to celebrate the news of having a new sibling in future. But her dad promised to her that he will be back as soon as possible before he went to attend the meeting called upon by the council of the Sand Village. She released a long breath and decided to wait for her father to return. She entered her room and... Kankuro, what are you doing in my room? She stopped in mid-sentence and pointed to some type of box that Kankuro was holding in his hands and questioned, is that mom's makeup kit? Yeah, replied the 2-year-old Kankuro, while awkwardly trying to hide the makeup box from his sister's scrutinizing eyes. Whatcha doing with it? Temari asked, still unsure of why her brother was having her mom's makeup box in his hands. That's none of your business. Kankuro screamed childishly and then ran out of Temari's room. Temari was surprised by his outburst for a second but then remembered that he was in her room. She threw a pillow in the direction of retreating Kankuro and shouted, "Don't enter my room with your tea parties and cat suits again. I don't do tea parties, and those are pajamas, not cat suits." She heard her brother shout back. She went back to her bed and thought, he may be weird, but he's still my weird brother. Soon I'm gonna have another younger brother. She told herself lovingly, but then thought, I wonder what's that meeting about that Dad has to attend urgently. I wonder what this meeting is about that I have to attend urgently. Raza asked the assembled council members. It's about the future of the Sand, Kazekage-sama. As we all know, Sand Village is on its last legs now. We were humiliated by the Leaf Village in the Second Shinobi World War. Our every assault on Leaf forces were countered by Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang. Every poison Chiyo-sama came up with was always countered by Tsunade Senju, the Slug Princess. Our forces have been massively attacked by Orochimaru, the Snake Sannin and his summons, and most importantly, each and every one of our top secret plans to invade Leaf were spoiled by Jiraiya, the Toad Sage and his spy network, even before the plans were put into motion. The newly appointed Councilman Yura said. And then came the Third Shinobi World War. It was a war we wanted to win, to avenge the death of our third Kazekage, who was possibly assassinated by the Stone Village. Even if we were allies with Leaf Village in this war, it was actually Leaf who won the war single-handedly, by one Leaf shinobi decimating the Hidden Stones army all by himself. While Sand Village was not able to land even one single decisive hit in that war, the Jonin commander Baki pointed out. I know our village's history, please get to the main issue. Kazekage said, not wanting to hear again about Sand Village's dark history. All these shortcomings of Sand Village have made it a laughing stock in front of other villages. And we have decided to remedy that by giving Sand Village a weapon. Chiyo said. How do you propose to do that? Raza inquired. We heard news that you are about to become father for another child. Am I right, Kazekage-sama? Chiyo questioned. Yes. But what that has to do with what we are discussing now? Questioned Raza. The council wishes to seal Shikaku, the sand spirit, in your unborn child, while he is still in his mother's womb. In that way we can attain a perfect we. Denied. Raza interrupted Chiyo, before she could even complete her words. Chiyo could not understand what he was implying. The council's wish for my child to be turned into a perfect weapon has been denied. Raza clearly explained to the assembled council. All council members were stunned by this straight rejection. There was pure silence in the council room, so much that you could actually hear the clock ticking in the council chamber. Chiyo was the first to recover, but Kazekage-sama, you have to consider the future of this village first. Yura was next to respond. Kazekage-sama, Sand Village cannot appear weak in this crucial time. He was about to say some more, but Raza held up a hand to silence all the bickering council members. Sand Village had already become weak that very moment, when this council decided to let a child who is not even born yet to carry the burden of this village. Raza slapped the hard truth on the faces of council members. But Yura was interrupted again by Raza, who said, I will not allow not only my child, but any child to bear the burden. But since Sand Village is in dire times, when my soon-to-be son becomes 5 years old in future, he will be given a choice to become the Jinchuriki. If he chooses to be a Jinchuriki, then he will become the guardian of the Sand Village, not the perfect weapon as some of you here think about Jinchurikis. He spat out the word perfect weapon like it was some kind of a poison. But Kazekage-sama, you must understand the importance of having a perfect we. Yura was not able to complete his sentence because an intense killer intent hit him head-on, courtesy of the fourth Kazekage, daring him to finish that sentence. This council exists to advise the Kazekage on how to run the village, but not to overstep Kazekage's direct orders. If you all still insist on ruining not just my child's, but any child's life, then I will be forced to implement the martial law and disband this council altogether. Was the final answer of Raza. We respect your wishes, Kazekage-sama. We will hope that someday your future child will become the guardian of Sand Village. Chiyo replied calmly like she was not even bothered by the ki of Raza. Raza calmed down after hearing Chiyo's words. "Thank you, Lady Chiyo." "Is that all?" he asked the council. When no one said anything he said, "Well then I will take my leave." Then Raza left the council chambers in a golden dust shunshin. After that every other council member soon started to file out. Sometime later in the evening that day, Raza was about to enjoy a family dinner with his wife Karura, her brother Yashimaru and his children. Raza and his brother-in-law Yashimaru were at the table while a very pregnant-looking Karura came up with some dishes and set them on the table. "Temari! Kankuro, come on, dinner's ready!" Karura called out for her two children. Raza saw both his children, Temari and Kanku. Raza then noticed something. "Kankuro! What is that on your face?" Raza almost shouted. "It's war paint." Kankuro exclaimed proudly, like it was all the explanation that is needed to answer his father. "But that's... Raza was trying to search for words that won't hurt his son's feelings. Yashimaru was torn between trying to hold his laugh and keeping a poker face. While Karura's eyes became the size of dish plates at seeing her son with that horrible makeup he just called war paint. "That's mom's makeup," Temari replied, seemingly not caring about her brother's feelings. "Hey!" the makeup-wearing boy shouted. And the two children started a funny quarrel. The day went on happily, with all of them as family. Yashimaru was now laughing out loud heartfully. Raza and Karura were happy that their family is still standing strong even in dire times of the Sand Village. Unknown to them there was a storm awaiting in the darkness to swallow all of their lives into darkness. Some unknown location. There was a person sitting in some kind of a throne in a darkly lit base. Facing him were some shinobi who have their faces covered with hoods. The Kazekage is allowing his love for family to get in the way of making Sand Village strong. We cannot let him pursue his foolish ideals. We will dethrone him and make the Sand Village prosper again. The person informed his assembled forces. "With all due respect, my lord, how are you going to achieve it?" One random shinobi asked their commander. "By a coup d'état," replied the commander still sitting in the throne of underground base. He then stood up and walked a little forward to face his assembled shinobi. "Today we will be silent, but soon we'll take the power and authority by all means necessary and build a new sand village on the graves of its previous leaders," he exclaimed proudly, addressing his force. He then shouted, "We will fight for the glory of the sand. We will fight for the glory of the sand." The assembled shinobi all shouted as one in chorus, while holding their right hand fists to their hearts, signifying their loyalty to the sand village. Then, they all scattered away. There was only the mysterious person in the base now. He turned back and approached a nearby window and opened it. He then grew a sadistic grin on his face. "All I need is just one opportunity," the unknown person muttered to himself. His facial features became visible by the moonlight coming through the window. He was revealed to be Yura, the newly appointed councilman. The fateful night. It was nighttime in Leaf Village and the moon was shining brightly in the dark sky. A 7-year-old boy was seen sitting on front porch of the house taking care of his 1-year-old baby brother, while at the same time trying to keep the baby comfortable. Few moments later he lifted his head and started to observe the moon. "It's a full moon tonight, Sasuke," the boy said to the baby in his arms. Sasuke made some baby sounds like he acknowledged his elder brother's words. Then all of a sudden, wind picked up around them and the entire village and started to howl in a very ominous way. The boy looked towards the sky again and he thought he felt something. A feeling. Something ominous. The boy muttered to himself. Then baby Sasuke also started make some crying noises like he also felt the ominous feeling. There. It's okay. Don't cry, Sasuke. No matter what happens, your big brother will protect you. I promise you that," told the boy to his baby brother in order to calm him. Then in just a matter of minutes, the almighty 9-tailed fox appeared out of nowhere in the middle of Leaf Village and started its rampage. destroying everything in its path with just a flick of its tails. People were dying left and right, buildings were collapsing, and all the boy could do was to get out of the way of falling debris and to make sure his baby brother is fine. His brother Sasuke was scared and was crying. This is an announcement from the Leaf Police Force. All civilians evacuate. Head to the southeast sector. The boy still carrying his baby brother heard the announcement and started running towards the southeast sector. On his way, he saw a girl who is about his age, crying in an alleyway not knowing what to do. "Come here," he shouted to the girl. The girl stopped crying for a second and saw the boy holding his hand out. "Itachi." The girl identified the boy. "Hurry up," the now identified Itachi said. "Okay." She complied and started running towards him. When she just took Itachi's hand, a large debris hit the alleyway she was previously in. Itachi quickly threw the girl away and jumped himself along with his baby brother away from the debris. "Let's go to the shelter," Itachi said, leading the girl along with him and his brother towards where the shelters are located. When they almost made it to the shelters, Itachi saw his father standing there and told the girl he rescued, "You keep going, everyone will be there." The girl was not sure and was about to protest. But then Itachi ran towards his father Fugaku. "Father," he greeted his father. "Good, you two are here. Get to the shelters right away," he demanded his eldest son. "Yes. All right," Itachi replied, feeling a little upset, but did as his father asked him to do. Soon after each and every civilian was evacuated, a fierce battle took place to stop the nine-tailed fox that will forever scar the memories of all those who witnessed it. Next day, after the fall of the nine-tailed fox, "Lord Third, please take care of my son. His name is—" A loud cry of a baby interrupted Sarutobi Hiruzen from his deep thoughts. He exhaled deeply and went to the lone crib placed in the Hokage office. He picked the baby from the crib and started to rock him in his hands soothingly, comforting the baby. The baby boy has cute whisker marks on cheeks and has blonde hair, which was rare in Leaf Village. The boy has striking blue eyes, which were always looking curious. Just like his father, when he was a baby. Hiruzen thought, feeling for the 100th time since last night, that it should have been him doing the deed to save the village, not his successor. Soon, he was brought out of his thoughts by a knocking on his door. "Enter." He gave permission to whoever was knocking at the door to his office. His longtime teammates Hamura and Koharu walked in, having grim expression on their faces. Koharu walked close to the baby in Hiruzen's hands and saw the baby's face for the first time. Soon Hamura also followed his teammates' example and got a good look at the baby. The baby himself was looking at the both of them with curious blue eyes. "What are you going to do now, Hiruzen?" Koharu asked grimly. "The village can be rebuilt, but the lives lost yesterday night will always be remembered," Hiruzen replied. "We're not talking about yesterday's unfortunate events, Hiruzen," Hamura corrected Hiruzen. Hiruzen seemed genuinely confused. "We're talking about the boy you're holding," Koharu clarified. "What about him?" Hiruzen questioned. "The boy is the legacy of the fourth Hokage, heir of the Uzumaki clan, and most importantly he is the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails," Hamura explained. "If Hidden Stone, or more importantly Inoki, hears the word that we have the son of the fourth Hokage, then he'll send all the assassins he ever could to make sure the boy does not live," Koharu said. "I was thinking the same thing. I thought of giving him his mother's last name to avoid Hidden Stone coming after him. I also intend to pass a law to forbid people from talking about the Nine Tails. I want the boy to have a chance to make friends without having to face hatred." Hiruzen put out his idea to his teammates. Both of his teammates were convinced the idea will work. "That concludes the first matter we came here to discuss," Hamura said. "What's the other matter?" Hiruzen inquired. "There were massive number of casualties and many Leaf ninjas were wounded in the attack yesterday. Our medic ninjas are not able to tend to all of them. Some ninjas who were injured critically are losing their lives. We need someone to assist us in saving the lives of our ninjas. Koharu said, coming right to the topic at hand. By someone, you mean to say her? Hiruzen asked, just so he could confirm what his teammates were implying. Yes, Koharu confirmed his suspicions. Leaf needs her medical expertise to save our ninjas' lives, Hamura said. I will see what I can do to bring her back and convince her to heal our ninjas. Hiruzen replied. Alright then Hiruzen, we will take our leave. Both left Hiruzen with the baby. Hiruzen then took the baby to his crib and set the baby in it. He started to feed the boy with a milk bottle. While the baby started to drink, Hiruzen was lost in his thoughts. Tsunade. The Leaf Village needs you. He muttered to himself. But Hiruzen missed the giggle and the smile that came up on the baby's face when he mentioned Tsunade's name. A reason to return. After feeding the boy, Hiruzen left the now sleeping boy in his crib and went back towards his desk and sat down in his chair. He then started to write a letter. When he was done writing, he did a set of very specific hand signs for a very specific jutsu. Summoning jutsu, he muttered silently, trying not to wake up the peacefully sleeping baby. There was a small puff of smoke. Soon the smoke cleared and a regular-sized monkey could be seen waiting. The monkey's body and tail are covered by white fur, which protrudes from his sleeves and pants. He has shoulder-length white hair and has short sideburns. He wore a black kimono shirt with mesh armor underneath, which is held closed by a blue sash. The monkey also wore a Leaf Village forehead protector. Greetings Sarutobi-san, the animal greeted his summoner. Greetings, Satori. I need you to deliver this to my student Tsunade, ASAP, asked Hiruzen, handing the monkey a folded letter. It'll be done Sarutobi-san, replied the monkey as he took the letter from Hiruzen before disappearing in a puff of smoke while holding the folded letter. With that being done, Hiruzen decided to complete the tons of paperwork pending on his desk before the baby wakes up again. Somewhere in Tenzaka town, a certain blonde-haired female was not having a good day. When she first woke up to start her day, the teacup her assistant gave her tea in actually cracked in her hands. Soon in the gambling bar, as soon as she started gambling today, she started to win. One might be thinking that winning was supposed to be good, right? Maybe winning was good for others, but that is not the case with her. For her, winning is a bad omen. She was having bad omens since last night. Her assistant, a fairly tall female with black hair, was standing near her. She was actually looking happy that her master is finally winning. But then she noticed the upsetting look on her master's face. Let's go Shizune, ordered the blonde female. The now identified Shizune's eyes grew to the size of dish plates with a sweat drop forming on her backside of the head. Lady Tsunade, she questioned her master with quizzical expression on her face. She could not believe that her master, who would never quit gambling even when she was losing horribly, was actually leaving a game when she was actually winning. You heard me. Let's go. Tsunade demanded her assistant and started walking off from the bar. Shizune became worried at her master's sudden change in demeanor, but still followed her outside. They were walking towards the inn they are now staying at. There was an awkward silence between the master and apprentice duo. Soon they entered their room and started to get ready to go to bed. The silence between both of them was broken by a sudden puff of smoke on Tsunade's bedside table. When the smoke cleared, a Satori could be seen holding a note. Satori. Tsunade seemed surprised by the sudden appearance of her sensei's summon. Lady Tsunade greeted Satori respectfully. Sarutobi-san wanted this to be delivered to you immediately, he said, and handed the letter to the blonde female and then disappeared the same way he appeared. Shizune seemed as confused as her master was by the sudden appearance of a monkey summon. She saw her master open the letter and then start to read. Tsunade Senju. Before I go into any further details, I want to apologize for disturbing you when you're off duty, to mourn the loss of your loved ones. But a disaster struck Leaf last night and many lives are in danger. Only you and your medical expertise can save them. Leaf Village needs you. Please come back to Leaf, to save those in need. P.S. Minato and Kushina lost their lives defending the village. Don't let their sacrifices be in vain. As soon as Tsunade read the last line, her eyes went wide with shock. Soon she got up and started to get ready like she was going somewhere. While she was getting ready, she had a grim expression on her face. Her assistant could not keep the curiosity within her and asked her master, Lady Tsunade, what's the message in the letter? Tsunade did not answer her question, but instead said, pack our things, Shizune, we're leaving. Lady Tsunade. Shizune was surprised. We're going back to Leaf Village. Tsunade informed her assistant. Leaf. Shizune almost shouted in shock. After all, her master did take a vow to never set a foot in the Leaf Village again. Tsunade ignored her assistant's outburst and replied, yes. Now Shizune did not know whether to be happy that she and her master are finally going back to Leaf or to ask her master why she wants to return to Leaf. In the end, Shizune decided to go with the latter and asked, Lady Tsunade, why do you want to go back to Leaf now? Shizune questioned, while placing emphasis on the word now. That question made her master stand still. Tsunade turned around to face Shizune with a sad expression and replied, my cousin and her husband have died yesterday night. A new last name. Hiruzen was trying his best to contain his anger. He was sitting in his office trying to find out who leaked information to public about the newborn baby sleeping in his office being the Jinchuriki of Kyubi. There have been 14 assassination attempts on the boy's life in the last 3 days. All of the assailants were caught by his Anba dog, Tenzo and cat. These assailants were then interrogated by Ibiki. The interrogation results left Hiruzen shocked. All of them were people of his own village. People whom his successor died saving, are now trying to kill his son. You can come in now, Hiruzen said all of a sudden. For a few seconds there was no response, but then someone entered through the Hokage office window and stood facing Hiruzen. It's been a long time, sensei. The person greeted with a somber expression on his face. Indeed, it has been Jiraiya, Hiruzen said, releasing a sigh. So Minato and Kushina are gone. The now identified Jiraiya said as a statement, to which Hiruzen didn't say anything. For a few moments, neither sensei nor the student said anything. Both were reflecting on their failures. I failed to save those 3 in the Rain Village, and now I failed to save Minato and Kushina too. Had I stayed back in Leaf, maybe Minato and Kushina would have still been alive. Were the thoughts running rampant in the Toad Sanin's head. If it was me that did the deed to save this village, maybe I would have saved both their lives, and I would not be there to see my own people falling down so much as to try to take the life of a child. Were Hiruzen's thoughts. The painful silence was broken when Hiruzen's personal assistant peeked her head through the door and said, Lord Third, Lady Tsunade is here to see you. That broke the both of them out of their trance. Jiraiya tried processing what the assistant said in his mind, and when it clicked, he shouted in surprise, Tsunade is back in the Leaf. Jiraiya's outburst caused the baby in the office to wake up from his sleep, and he started to make whimpering and crying noises. Hiruzen rushed to the crib and picked up the baby. He then started to rock him gently, trying to calm him down. Once the boy calmed a little, Hiruzen asked his assistant, please send her in. His assistant went back to do as she was asked. It took a few moments for Jiraiya to realize who the baby boy is, but when he got a glimpse of blonde hair peeking through the bundle Hiruzen was holding, he was sure that the boy was who he thought him to be. Jiraiya approached Hiruzen and took a good look at the baby in his sensei's arms. Is he? The Sannin tried to ask slowly this time, so as not to make the boy uncomfortable again. Yes. His sensei confirmed his guess. He looks like both of them, Jiraiya said, looking at the boy, while the baby boy was looking back at the Sannin with curious blue eyes. Jiraiya then took the boy in his hands to get a good look at his godson. The baby was good for a few moments, but then he was getting a bit uncomfortable. Jiraiya tried to calm him by gently rocking him, but the boy kept struggling. Hiruzen took the boy from Jiraiya and tried to calm the boy himself, but it was not working. Both men tried everything they could, but the boy wasn't calming down. He was not crying but has a troubled expression and was nearly whimpering, but they don't know why and what to do now. They started to make some faces to entertain the boy. When Tsunade walked in, what she saw was comical. Her sensei and her old teammate were making some stupid faces. Shizune also could not explain why Jiraiya was stretching his mouth with 2 fingers in front of a whimpering baby. Tsunade sighed at their pathetic attempt to calm the baby. Both men were startled when Tsunade walked up to them and took the baby boy into her arms. She wrapped him up in her warm embrace. The boy instantly calmed down and smiled as she rubbed his back while holding him gently. She gazed at him and the boy looked up at her with curious eyes. She tore her gaze away from the blonde baby and looked straight at her sensei. "Tell me everything, sensei," Tsunade more or less demanded while still keeping the baby in a warm embrace. Few painful moments later. Shizune was holding the baby while she sat on a couch inside the Hokage's office. Hiruzen sat in his chair behind the desk, Jiraiya was leaning on the opposite wall facing his sensei, and Tsunade sat on the window with both of her legs placed on bottom space of the window. She was looking out through the window. If one looked close enough, they can see some dried tears on her face. The painful silence between the two Sannin and their sensei was occasionally broken by the giggling sounds made by the baby boy. "So he is her son?" Tsunade suddenly asked without turning her face. "Yes, he is." It was Jiraiya who replied. "Why is he here in the office? Why is he not in the hospital nursery room?" Tsunade inquired, this time looking straight towards her sensei. Hiruzen released a sigh and replied, "He was not safe there." "What do you mean he's not safe in the hospital?" Tsunade questioned. Jiraiya also raised an eyebrow at his sensei's words, but he didn't say anything. "There were some situations," third Hokage said. "What situations exactly?" It was Jiraiya who asked, this time putting emphasis on the word situations. Hiruzen exhaled deeply, feeling his age for the first time since taking up on the Hokage mantle again. There were 14 assassination attempts on the boy's life. Granted, all the assassins were captured and are placed in heavy security prison. Both Jiraiya and Tsunade grew serious at this. "Is it hidden stone?" Jiraiya inquired. "It must be Inoki. That damned old midget will do anything to get back at Minato." Tsunade expressed her anger, while spitting out the name Inoki like it was a poison. "Well, I thought the same at first too, but it was not him." Hiruzen cleared their doubts before his two students could go out to do something drastic against Stone Village, and that will lead them straight towards Fourth Great Ninja War. If it's not him, then who sent the assassins? Jiraiya thought out loud. "It's the civilians and some ninjas of our own village." Hiruzen dropped the bomb on them. All those present inside the office except Hiruzen were shocked. There was a heavy silence that fell inside the Hokage office right after Hiruzen uttered those words. The tension was heavy among all of them. The baby boy also seemed to sense the tension as he made some whimpering noises. Shizune excused herself to go out of the office to calm the boy. Once Shizune and the baby were outside, Jiraiya calmly asked, "Why?" "He's the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki," Hiruzen started to say, but was interrupted when the desk in front of him was smashed into million pieces, courtesy of a raged Tsunade. "Don't give me that nonsense, sensei. Would they be willing to kill him just because he's a Jinchuriki? Are the villagers so blind that they are willing to kill a child who is the son of the person who saved them?" Tsunade asked in between her anger. "To tell you the truth, they don't know who he is." Hiruzen replied calmly like he was not even bothered by Tsunade's rage. "What do you mean, they don't know who he is?" Jiraiya asked, sounding shocked. "I mean, they don't know who his father is." Hiruzen answered his student. Silence prevailed once again in the room the three were in. Both Sannin tried to process what their sensei was telling them. You mean to say? Tsunade started saying a few seconds later while cracking her knuckles. Her teammate Jiraiya then continued her words, you told the villagers that he is the Jinchuriki while you withheld the information about who his father is. As he was uttering those words, his chakra started to flare unconsciously. Hiruzen took a deep breath and just when it was feeling like his own students would attack him, he released a very massive and potent killing intent focusing it on his two students. Jiraiya and Tsunade saw their own deaths 5 or so times. It was then, they remembered that their sensei was once known as God of Shinobi. Hiruzen settled down after a few moments. Jiraiya and Tsunade seemed to be able to, actually listen to him this time fully. It was not me who informed the public about his Jinchuriki status. I'm still trying to find out the person who leaked it. As for not informing the villagers about who his parents are, what do you guys think if Hidden Stone or more importantly Inoki finds out about him? Hiruzen said, more or less scolded his students, like a father would to his stubborn children. Both Sannin understood what he was saying now. If Inoki finds out about the boy, he will be hell-bent on taking the boy's life. So what did you think of doing to protect him? Jiraiya asked. I will give him his mother's last name. I also initiated a law forbidding any talk about Kyubi. Hopefully the boy will have a chance of making friends in future. Hiruzen explained his idea. That's a good idea, sensei, but there is a major flaw in it. Hidden Cloud already tried to kidnap Kushina when she was a child. If you give the boy his mother's name, what makes you so sure that Hidden Cloud would not attempt to kidnap him too? Jiraiya countered. I will. Hiruzen started to say but stopped stumbling upon his own words. He looked like he just now realized the problem posed by Hidden Cloud. I didn't take Hidden Cloud into consideration, he admitted. While both the Toad Sage and Hiruzen were bickering back and forth about how to protect the boy and how to proceed in the future, Tsunade was lost in her own thoughts. Even after quite a while, it seemed that both Jiraiya and Hiruzen could not find an idea to ensure the boy's safety. The entire office room was filled with arguments and disagreements between the sensei and student. I will adopt him, Tsunade said suddenly. Pin-drop silence followed her words as both Jiraiya and Hiruzen were shocked with her exclamation. He's the only family I've got left with. I've already lost many loved ones to this village. I don't want to lose him too. I will take him away from this village's stupidity. Tsunade expressed her feelings. But what will you do with the problem posed by Hidden Stone or Hidden Cloud? Hiruzen asked, still shocked. He will be my son. He will be the heir of the Senju clan. If someone still wants go after him, they will have to deal with me first. Tsunade explained her final decision. But Tsunade. Hiruzen tried to protest, but was interrupted by the Toad Sannin who said, I will also be there, to deal with whoever comes targeting him. Hiruzen saw the determination in Tsunade's eyes, and he knew he lost this argument. He released deep breath and said, fine. I will ready the documents tomorrow for you to adopt him. We will have to complete it before the village council gets wind of this matter. I am getting too old to listen to all their bickering. Just then Shizune walked in holding a peacefully sleeping boy in her arms. Tsunade took the baby from her. Then both Shizune and Tsunade went back to the Senju compound in the Leaf Village to rest for the night. Next morning. Senju clan compound. Tsunade woke up soon, so she can feed the baby. She picked up the baby from his crib and held him warmly in her embrace. The baby started to tug her robe, so she opened her robe and let the baby to latch onto her breast while she held a ram hand sign and the baby started feeding himself. Few moments later Shizune walked in on the scene and stared in disbelief as she saw her master breastfeeding the baby. It's a jutsu that uses chakra to forcefully activate the mammary glands to start the process of lactation and creates milk for the child. Tsunade explained, seeing the stupefied expression on her assistant's face. Wow, Lady Tsunade, sometimes I forget I'm the apprentice of the legendary medic in the elemental nations. Shizune exclaimed while she sat down near the mother and son. There was glow of happiness on Tsunade's face that she was lacking all these years. Maybe this baby will be the ray of hope her master needed in her life. A few moments later the baby stopped feeding himself and Tsunade tied her robe. She handed the baby to Shizune, so she could get ready to go and finish the paperwork needed to officially declare the adoption process. Few hours later, at the Hokage office, Tsunade finished signing all the documents required to finish the adoption process. Hiruzen was going through the paperwork, making sure he didn't miss anything. "Okay Tsunade, he's your son officially," Hiruzen said once he was satisfied that all the paperwork was perfect. "Good," Tsunade replied as she cooed at the baby in her hands. "There is one last thing to do now. That is, his birth certificate," Hiruzen said, and then he continued again, "What do you want his last name to be?" Tsunade held the baby close to her face and gazed lovingly at him while the baby gazed at her with his curious eyes as he rubbed her cheek with a bright smile. Tsunade finally answered her sensei, who was waiting patiently, "He is my son, Naruto Senju." Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, comment down below and let me know. Also share this video with your friends. I have created a playlist of this what if where you guys can find all the parts. See you in the next video.